Welcome to Conversations with Toi, a blogcast tackling life one episode at a time. This is the time to air out life's craziest moments. This space is all about speaking about life's hang-ups and ways in which we can leave better than when we started. Topics are all about ways we can find space to be better in life, love, mental space, and health.
Happy Friday. I hope that you have had the most amazing week. But because we haven't been with each other, Happy New Year. It's a year, not a year with an S. It's Happy New Year. Happy New Year's Eve is the night before, but we are now in the Happy New Year. So I know a lot of folks, especially my country folks, will put an S on the end, but it is not. It is Happy New Year. So Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I am so grateful to be with you. Hello, my name is Toi. Let me go ahead and give you my intro. I am your podcaster, content creator, freelance writer, blogger. I wear a lot of hats. I do stuff with social media with other companies. I do a lot, but the hats that I love wearing the most are going to always be the wife and mother of 3 amazing children. And let me just say, I don't know if you can tell, but the energy is energying. Like, I feel so amazing, and I'm going to tell you why I feel amazing. Like, I'm going to tell you why. Not just because life is good and, God is good all the time, and all the time God is good, but just because that and just all the beautiful things. Listen, let's talk about Christmas. Let's just get a little quick recap on what's been going on in my world. So first and foremost, I had a very great Christmas. We had a great time here at the home with my children. I love being a mom. I love creating mom magic. I love doing all the things for my children, letting them know how special they are. I love it all. So we had a great Christmas. And we always have Christmas here at my house. And if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know that every Christmas I'm going to put on some cinnamon rolls. The reason for that is just growing up, my father, he would put on cinnamon rolls, and just as a smell to me, it's like a reminder of like when we had these like amazing Christmases. And so it's something that I've continued on, and it's a tradition for my family. And I don't even know if they notice it or not. I mean, I talk about it. They know why I do it, but I don't know if they recognize it enough to say, okay, this is like now our new tradition. And one thing I love about traditions is that people can add to the tradition. They can take away from the tradition. They can do what they need to do as they get older. And I'm hoping that they pull apart some of the things that I've created for them. And I also hope that they see the love that goes behind it. Christmas is one of my favorite, if not my most favorite holiday, just because of the goodness that people bring to the table, like how nice people are, how people act right. I'm all here for it. So I'm enjoying the Christmas season. I know that the season is quote unquote over as we are now into the new year. And remember, that's new year with no S. And I'm grateful. So for the new year, I say New Year's Eve, we went to see the symphony. We saw the orchestra New Year's Eve, we saw the orchestra. When I tell you it was an amazing performance, I learned so much because this particular performance, they had a guest orchestra. What is it? I don't even know the name of the person, but the director, the conductor, and the guest conductor came in, and he kind of like went through all the different movies that he was either involved with or movies that just like are iconic and different shows. And he just put his whole heart into it. Like, you could tell he loves what he does. Let me just say something. When you love what you do, it comes out in everything that you do. Like, it comes out in every little thing that you do. And when I tell you, I've never seen such an energized show. And I've gone to many of the orchestras from Philadelphia Orchestra, and this one surpassed my highest of expectations. I honestly cannot wait to go back. It was nice to dress up. It was nice to get out and enjoy the show, do something different as we brought in the new year. We then came home and, did our toast with our family, and we had a little spread. And then the husband and I went out to get some food. We went to Chicky and Pete's, which is a huge Philadelphia, especially a South Philly icon. They have different locations outside of South Philly, but the South Philly one is like the big one. And we went and we had great food. We had drinks. My husband had way more drinks than me. And let me just say this for the record. Neither one of us drove. He can't drive right now. And then I didn't have to drive because he got us an Uber. And I love that for me because then I was able to indulge and just, have a good time. Now, I'm not a heavy drinker anymore. Let me just say that right off the rip. I'm no longer a heavy drinker because I've gotten older and my liver is saying, man, what is happening here? So I'm not a heavy drinker anymore, but I enjoyed being able to drink without the worries of having to drive. And so when you get to like sit back in the back and let somebody else do the driving, and he got us there, we got there safely. We came home safely. I always pray because I'm not a huge, I don't like necessarily going out for New Year's because it's always an anxiety for me. I think it's because growing up, we went to which is Watchtower or whatever you want to call it, basically where you bring in the new year at church. And listen, I'm not against that. I'm here for it. God has been good. I don't have any issues with it. But because I'm not in a church setting, and when I go other places that are not church setting, I'm always on guard because I always feel like, not that something is going to happen because I didn't go to church, but I feel like there's safety in the house of God. And I know that there's been plenty of times, unfortunately, in this day and age where going to church could get you got. But for the most part, there's a sense of safety in the presence of God. And so when I'm not in that, I get a little nervous. I'm always a little nervous wreck. So when we got back, I said the first thing, thank you, Jesus. Thank you for getting us home. And then I went and got myself in that bed after I washed my face and got into bed. Because, it's crazy out here in these streets. You can't hardly go anywhere in a regular day, but New Year's Eve always presents such another level. And in Philadelphia, just like in most cities, they do that whole shooting. They were doing I don't know, it felt like they were letting off bombs. It just felt so crazy. Even before we left, I almost had 5 seconds of hesitation because I kept saying, God, show me a sign. Show me a sign if we're not supposed to go out. I'm that type of nervous when it goes to going out on New Year's Eve. And I probably should have that type of reverence or thought process for all things, but it's something about that New Year's Eve that makes me feel so uneasy that, like I said, I'm always a nervous wreck. So when we go out, while we're out, it takes me at least another 30 minutes to check on my kids and also just kind of just be let's assess the situation type of situation. Now, I don't like it that it's like that, but I'm not going to act like it's not like that. And we had a great time. And so once I was able to be a little calm, and I'm going to say this, it wasn't the drinks that made me calm. How people are as soon as I get a drink, I'm going to be, no, it wasn't about the drink at all for me. For me, it wasn't about the drink. It was about, feeling that level of calm. And once I felt it, then I was okay. Because I like to feel that level of calm well before the drinks come. I don't want the drinks to be the calm. I want to feel calm so that I can enjoy the drinks because I like to drink. And I'm not even sure if I mentioned, but for Christmas, we also went to my parents' house and we were able to stop at my grandparents' house to see my grandfather and my grandmother. And a lot of my aunts and uncles were there. It was just good to see everybody. I went with the expectations of seeing my grandparents because my grandparents are getting up in age and my grandfather has been sick off and on. And so we just honor God for his presence being here. We honor God for my grandmother's presence. It was just a good vibe. So we had a good time overall for Christmas, had a great time for New Year's. And now I'm focused on New Year, goals and things like that. Here's the thing about these New Year goals. I talked about this last episode, which was 2 weeks ago. Forgive me. But it's an inward thing. Sometimes we worry about the body and we want to be snatched. We want to be small. And listen, I'm not against any of that. But we also have to be making sure that we're good when it comes to all the things, inwardly. How are you handling your business? How are you handling, controlling your, stopping yourself from lying? And are you taking care of your money and not so that you can just become, well, I can make more money, but on the premise of making sure that you're honoring yourself in all the things. And so those are the things that, again, that I talked about 2 weeks ago in the episode when I said, having it all, for 2026, it's an inward thing. A lot of us so focused on the outside that we're not giving no credence to anything that's going on the inside. And I'm I want you to flip that. I need you to flip it because you need to understand, you need to know, you need to see that all the things that are concerning you are being honored. You got to take care of you. So I want you to go back. If you didn't get a chance to listen to that episode, please go back and listen to it because you need to know that you're handling you. because you are important. You got to make sure you're handling yourself. And that's going to be more important than anything you could possibly putting, out in this world to try to do. Like, you want to make sure you're good. So one of the things that I have been focusing on is asking myself, what value do I bring in the spaces that I am in? Think about that for yourself. What value do you bring when you're in certain spaces? And you should really ask yourself, what are you leaving in the spaces that you are in? For instance, you may not be a content creator. So my question when I ask myself, what value do I bring in spaces, is I'm on this podcast. What am I doing to help someone else? What am I doing to help somebody else that I feel like will be a benefit to them, that they could use whatever tool that they need to become a better version of themselves? Because honestly, if growth is not your thing, if growth is not your reason, if growth isn't happening around you, what then are we doing, right? So I think about all of those things. And you might be saying, well, I'm not a content creator, so I don't think about that. But what are you doing when you leave people's spaces? Are you leaving spaces better than what you came in? My mother always taught me, when you go to someone else's house, you would spend a night, you would do whatever. Go when you leave their space better than what it was when you came in there. Don't leave all disheveled and raggedy. Like, if you know me in real life, you know that my favorite word to use is raggedy. Everything be raggedy. Such and such is raggedy. That's raggedy. You raggedy. Everybody's raggedy, right? Raggedy, raggedy, raggedy. It's one of my favorite words. But it's because it's been so ingrained in me as a child to to make sure that, one, I'm not being raggedy, but in addition to not being raggedy, making sure I'm not leaving spaces raggedy when I go other places and other spaces. So my question to you, even if you're not a content creator and you're wondering about how you're doing in spaces like I am, my question to you is, how are you leaving spaces when you leave? Are you the type of person that when you get together with people, all you do is gossip, you talk negatively about people, or you just negative, period? Like, there are some people that are so negative that they're just negative, period. You can say the sky's blue, they'll be like, but it's not that right shade. I say this all the time. I'm going to keep using this as an example. When I was going through it wasn't even postpartum depression, it was just regular depression. My therapist said, learn about the national holidays, find a way to celebrate the little things. And so I now know most of the national holidays. And so as I started doing that, I started posting them to keep myself accountable. A lot of people didn't realize I was posting it for that reason. So I would say, today is here are the national holidays for today. And I would list the gamut of them, right? And I would talk about if there was one that I was going to celebrate that day and how I was going to celebrate that, and encourage people to celebrate it, given basically the same the information that I was given in therapy to help someone else. Never said why, never did other things, just gave the information, left it at that. I have since stopped because I celebrate them on my own personally. But when I would post them, there would be guaranteed the same few, 3, 4 people who would literally come on there. I don't drink tea. I don't drink coffee. I don't do this. I do that. I don't do that. And I'm like, if this ain't your day, today ain't your day. Like, if you don't drink coffee and it's National Coffee Day, then, you don't got to feel bad about it. Like my mother said, you don't got to feel pregnant about it. Go about your way and do whatever that's going to fit you. But when negative people are in your presence, that's what they do. They leave their pocket of negativity everywhere they go. They don't make deposits of joy. They never bring happiness. They bring chaos and confusion, and they most definitely going to bring drama and all the things. Something about that just don't set right with me. It doesn't set right with me. It's never set right with me. And the fact that so many people are way too comfortable being in their negativity, it literally irks my entire spirit. When I tell you it irks me in ways you couldn't even think. And a lot of the reasons why it irritates me is because I'm no longer in this negative headspace. I'm no longer in this space. And I get everybody has their journey. So where I might be where I'm at, others are not. 100% understand it, but also can't go backwards, right? I can't go backwards to make you uncomfortable in your negativity just so you can feel away while I'm drowning in the negativity that you're brewing. When I was negative, I understood for the first time, stepping back and seeing it, that I understood why people had an irritation about themselves where I was concerned. I understood it. I didn't like it, but I understood it. So now that I'm in the same position where I understand why people are the way they are. I understand that they haven't done the work. I understand that they're not in the same place, that you have to be in a place, quote unquote, to walk in positive mindset. And here's the thing. I'm not asking for that false positivity where you think everything is perfect and nothing is ever wrong. That's a false positivity. That's not what I'm suggesting at all. What I'm talking about is being positive and seeing the positive, looking for the positive in the world, instead of looking for things to go bad. Like, there are parts of people, and I've been there, I've experienced it, I've seen it, where they're always looking for the ball to drop. You can't ever celebrate anything good in their space because, oh, like, let's say for a birthday, you're having a birthday, you're excited about this birthday, you're doing all the things only to discover that the people around you, well, I never had a decent birthday. Like, this ain't your birthday, this ain't your time. Why are you doing that? And that's why I asked you, what are you doing to leave when you leave spaces? How are you leaving your spaces that you're in? So when you are in the presence of your friends, and let me just say right now, there are going to be times when you're literally going through life and life is kicking your behind. And so when you come together and everybody else is jolly, but your spirit really is down, that is not what I'm talking about. You may need to say to your friend, this is when you have to have good friends around you and that you feel safe enough to say, listen, guys, I don't want to rain on your parade, but I used to say to my friends, can I get a couple of minutes to vent? So that I wouldn't take up space the entire time in my distraughtness. Maybe something really was going on, but I need that space to say it because maybe that was the only space I could say. I'll give you an example. My husband has been sick for a while, and throughout this entire process there have been some highs and there's been some lows. And I remember meeting with them one night for dinner. We were having a girl dinner. We call it girl dinner. We've been kind of doing it like every few months. We don't go past 3 months before we have a dinner. And this is crazy, we go out to dinner all the time with each other because we're content creators. We're always, for the most part, going to the same spaces, but this is not that type of dinner. This is for us we're probably going to end up creating content, but we're doing it so that we can have that time to decompress and just check on one another without the fanfare of the content creation. Let me explain the difference. One is because when we're in the spaces where we're with other content creators and we're just creating, we talk, but it's not as intimate. Number two, we're focused exclusively on the content. We're just checking in like, hey, are you alive? You good? You need something to talk? Like, we can come to the side. But when we have our girl dinner, it's for us to step back, even with the content creator. It's just for us to come together, and it's just for us to get together and have a good time. 90% of the time there's no expectation to post. So we're just literally there to check in on one another, to love on one another, and all those things. What I have been doing, and especially if you're going through something, here's a suggestion. Instead of you just being funky the whole time, because I get it, like life be life and it kicks everybody's behind. So instead of you being funky the entire time, my suggestion would be I asked, say, can I get a moment to vent? So we were at this dinner. This was back in December. Yeah, this was in December. We had our girl dinner. So we're having another one actually on Monday. And wow, we actually didn't let 3 months go by. Okay. We had dinner and I said to them, guys, before we get into all the things, can I just take 5 minutes of your time? I really have to get something off my chest. And they allowed that space. I got in there. I was able to cry a little bit. I was able to tell them like what I was experiencing. I was able to be honest about my feelings in that hour. Well, that 5 minutes, it wasn't an hour, but I was able to just say what needed to be said. And they gave me their thoughts about what they thought about it, how I can get around it. They gave me all the hug, the love that I needed. And then guess what? We said cheers and we ate and we had a good time. I didn't go back and talk about the situation. I didn't bring it up in another conversation. I didn't bring it up as another example. I had my moment, right, to vent so that I could enjoy the dinner, so they could enjoy the dinner, and we didn't need to feel this sense of darkness or heaviness that could have possibly have continued, because I have a big personality in this group. And so if I'm all disheveled, then everybody's going to be disheveled or trying to figure out like, girl, what's wrong with you? I don't want that. So I said, hey, can I get 5 minutes? And that 5 minutes was all I needed. Now you might have bigger things going on. I remember when one of my friends was in the middle of divorce and she would talk. Now, her conversations lasted a little longer than 5 minutes, but it didn't monopolize the entire time. Because when you give people their space, when you give people that space to vent, it does help. It helps for people to, again, just have that moment that they can just get that off of them. You know, life be kicking everybody's tail to a certain extent. And so being able to just be like, I just needed a moment to breathe. I just needed a moment to decompress is valuable. And a lot of people don't get the value in it, but there is so much value in being able to literally pour your heart out. But even too, when she was going through the divorce, it allowed her that it may have been longer than 5 minutes, but it wasn't the entire time. I was able to give her that space. She needed that space. I'm glad she took up space. I'm glad she was able to pour her heart out. There was times in her divorce that she was having to have that moment and then going right back home and right back into the fire. And this is why it matters who your friends are, because you need somebody that has discernment, that can see that, can hear that, and can give you the rightful information. I never dictated to her what I felt like she should do in her marriage. I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes to love and relationship, it's best to support your friend and allow your friend to make the decisions that best fits them. And even if that decision goes against what you think that they should be doing, the only thing you can do is continue to show them love. If you be a space of love, they can get into that bubble of love and get the strength that they need to go back into whatever it is that they're going through, and then have the equipment, that energy to put up with whatever it is that they're putting up with. Now, what I can say in this particular situation is that she did eventually divorce her husband, which was 100% on her. 100% was not misguided by me. It was never a situation I was like, girl, you need to leave him. You need to, because that's not my call. Because what we don't understand when it comes to love and marriage, when it comes to love and relationships, is that people are going to do what is best for them. And what's best for them may not always be what you think it should be. So because of that, I am really, really leery about getting into battles with folks about their relationships, about their marriages, about any of that. So I don't know who needed to hear that. But let me be the voice of reason to let you know that you 100% need to be a space of love, a space of good energy, and allow your friends to do what is best for them. Allow them to figure this out without your input. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you feel like you have your mouth on it too much, if you're saying too much about what you think shoulda, coulda, woulda happened, you're putting yourself in a very tight situation. And what 9 times out of 10 is going to happen is you're going to go home, if you're in a relationship, and bring that same mess back home. I was very clear about making sure she had that space, making sure that my space was good. And when I went back home, I sat in my car and I said a prayer so I don't bring that stuff back into my marriage, because there was no reason for it. This is what I mean by being in how are you leaving the spaces that you're in, is that sometimes y'all don't realize that you don't got to have a comment on everything. I know of a friend, I'm thinking off my head right now. And when I tell you she has a comment for everything don't need your comment. Everything don't need your comment. You ain't saving the world, baby. You're not. You need to worry about focusing on yourself. You need to focus on certain things, but you don't need to say things all the time. It doesn't need your amen. It doesn't need your amen. I know, grow up in a church, everything will be, amen, pastor, I heard you, but everything don't need it. Because sometimes you're putting yourselves in these too tight situations, saying things that you don't know because your friend has only told you one piece of it. There's always two sides of the coin, and you're putting your information all on the one side when you should use discernment, because discernment will tell you, hey, there's more going on to the situation than what's being said. And when you have that maturity, it will help you. It will guide you. It will lead you. It will do all the things, because you've got to be in the right space. So if you have never taken stock about how you leave, if your friends don't make you, if you don't feel like your friends, or have ever heard your friends say that you make them feel like a better person when they're around you, if you have family that's always like, oh, here she comes, you might want to do and add that to your 2026 goals. Because again, I've said this before. I said it already in this podcast. We put so much stock on the outside, we're not taking stock on the inside. And having somebody grimace when your face about your name, if your name is mentioned and they just be like, girl, don't do it. Or your name is mentioned in space and they're just like, that's a problem. You might want to check that out, because you very well could be the actual problem. And again, too many people play this game that they don't understand that they are the problem. Let me explain something to you. I've said this before very honestly. In years past, I would have been the problem. It would have been like, she coming with the drama now. She doing this and doing that. I very well could have been the problem. But see, here's the beautiful thing about people who are the problem. A lot of times when you're not in that place where you want to grow, you act as if the lies that are being told are all just a setup from the scheme that Todd set up. It's not the scheme that Todd set up. You are the Todd. You are the Todd. You have set your own self up for failure, because people don't have that resiliency to believe that you bring something positive to the table, because you're not positive. Now, I didn't choose that for you. I would have chosen better. I know for a fact that you are the Todd, and we don't want to raise our hands and put our hands up and receive it, that we could very well be the Todd. But if somebody is drained by your presence, they feel like you're here and it's just like, oh, here she come again. then the nuance is that you need to do the work is on you to do the actual work. Like there's actual work that needs to be done and you need to do it. You absolutely need to do it because again, nobody wants to be in a situation where you are there and all you do is bring everybody down. Bringing people down just for the sake of bringing people down is got to be the worst manipulation of the world. It really does, right? It just really does. So I'm encouraging you to do the work so that when you come into somebody's presence, it's not a fake, hey girl, and then they talk about you. Listen, and they might still talk, but at least if they're talking, it's because they just chose that and not because you are that. Let me say that again. It's because they chose that and it's not because you are that. Now, when I go into spaces and somebody's talking about me, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know nothing about it unless it's really brought up to me. I'm at my grown age now where if it ain't said to me, it's not a big deal to me. And I haven't heard any whispering of things going on because I'm not around the circles to hear it. So if they're keeping up the stuff amongst them now, after I've done the work, it's something that they just want to keep talking. They want to hold on to. And here's the beauty of it. I don't expect them to change because they're not around me to see the change. Like, I need you to understand that there are some people that are continuously holding on to the stories of who you are because you haven't changed in their mind because they're not around you to see the change. Now, here's the thing. You got to be in the change. If you are still keeping up issues and drama and you're still saying things where people can see it, you're on social media, you're still making little innuendos, you're still saying little things, you're still doing these little things, you can't get mad when the people start talking about it because you're still keeping it up. You can't then say, well, I have changed, they just don't see it, but you're still operating the same. I'm going to break that down because sometimes people will still do the same type of things. They still are reckless with their words. They still say things that are, in my opinion, out of pocket, out of character, and then get mad when everybody notices it. You can't get mad when you're like, well, they're not around me, but you're still making sure that they see you. Like you're dropping things because you want people to see you. You want people to see that you responded in such a way. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you are still looking for people because you just want them to know, and I do with this sometimes, it's like you want somebody to know, like, okay, I want you to know that you hurt me. I want you to know that you ain't it. I want you to know that this is and that. You got to let that go because when you let that go is when you're going to have your best growth. You're going to have your best growth when you can let certain things go, when you don't got to worry about a response. You're not dropping things in spaces because you'll somebody else who will see it. That's when you know you have real growth. And I'm not saying that to be some like monk, like, oh, I'm growing so big, I'm growing so strong, and I don't ever have petty moments. I'm not saying that. We all have those moments. But what I'm saying is genuinely, you can make a difference. You can be the difference in the situation. So people are not around you, but don't also keep up the mess going because you want to leave the pockets of information so you can let them know, like, you quote unquote about that life. What life are you telling them you're about? The one you claim you're changing from, but they can clearly see you're not? Like, be so for real. Be so for real. All right, let's chit chat about some of the things that I have been seeing online because the world never ceases to amaze me of the crazies that be on the internet. I ran up on a video I'm sure you have seen on TikTok where this man was like, basically, just because I'm homeless, I don't deserve no love. I don't deserve to wake up with no love. I don't deserve to wake up with a plate. I don't deserve to have sex. I don't deserve to this and that. I did a little research. I think that this is him trolling. Because he's been saying this for 3 years. So unless this man has been homeless for 3 years, then I think that he is trolling. Here's the other flip of that. As much as I believe that he is trolling, there is some reality to the situation. If you've never met a hobosexual, which is H-O-B-O, not homo, I said hobo-sexual. It's the ones who don't have a place of their own. They're going from, basically, they surfing, they swag surfing from couch to couch, and they're looking for love in all the wrong places. It's never looking for love in a home of their own. It's never looking for a job. It's never looking for stability. It's always just looking for love. They're looking for somebody to cater to them, to take care of them. And in their heart of hearts, they believe deep down in their spirit that they are deserving, that somebody should have put up with this foolishness. And they have no problems of telling you that. So this man has been saying this, and he has been getting eaten up in the comments, as he should. Again, I'm going to say I 100% believe that he is trolling, but this is real. When I had graduated from college, my husband and I were not married, not together at this time. This is one of those breakup moments. And there was a gentleman that I knew. He was fine on the outside, like fine, like he could get it. He could get it in any way he could want it. He could get it. Okay. The problem is that something about him just was off. I couldn't put my finger on it. Like I just couldn't put my finger about him. Like, but from the aesthetic of him, oh, he was fire, right? He was fire. And so something, I trust my gut when I listen to it, because we all got the gut feeling. We don't always listen. And so in my dating world, in my life before, I didn't always listen to my gut. For this particular situation, I actually listened to my gut. I was like, something just not slicing right. So I just kept asking a couple people about him, like, hey, what do you know about this person? And so one day somebody was just like, yeah, something is up with him. Like it's just not making sense. Okay. And what I soon discovered was that he was a homosexual. Now, aesthetically, he was fine. Good looks. Now, the guy that I'm talking about that I saw on the internet, good looks is questionable. He's not my tea. So, again, he's just not my type. And he's somebody's type, I'm sure. But I say this to say that although I believe this man is trolling, the issue regarding the situation of him being the way that he is it still is giving raggedy. Like it's definitely giving raggedy. And so the person that I'm talking about when I was in my 20s, fine. And I mean fine. Like it wasn't nobody that I ever knew that would say he wasn't fine, because brother was fine. But being fine and then having your life together are two different things. And it wasn't whatever he had going on, just it wasn't that. And I'm saying all that to say is that your priorities have to be in order for 2026. Like, I think everybody is deserving of love, right? Everybody is deserving of love. Everybody deserving of all the things. But deserving of love and also taking care of your business is two different situations, two different conversations. And I don't believe the gentleman that's making this video or the men that are like him that he's representing, they don't care about handling their business. They just want somebody to give them a soft place to land. Now, you can do that if you want a project. If you want to have a project man, and I don't mean one that came from the projects. I'm talking about making him your project, where you get him you get him together, he'll get on his feet. I can almost guarantee you when he gets on his feet, he ain't going to stay, because he never was into you like you think that he is. Like, again, the guy that I knew in my 20s, he was fine. But when I couldn't figure it out, now, before anybody makes any judgment, no, he didn't get anything from me in the sex department. We never hooked up. It didn't go any further, because when I started to think about like why I couldn't figure out what his issue was, I then started to then ask questions. And every time I would ask a question, the answer just wasn't making sense. And because it didn't make sense, it didn't happen, and it just didn't work out. Now, I'm sorry that he was one of the ones that just couldn't get, we couldn't get nothing, I couldn't just get none from the queen. But at the end of the day, I trusted my gut, and my gut was not wrong. And I'm honoring God, because that was like protecting me. Because again, don't nobody want no fine man that's also not together, that, don't have no sense of reality. And here is another thing. If you talk to a guy, or you talk to a woman, you talk to whoever you're talking to, and they don't have any sense of like knowledge of anything, like, you got to get that under control, because unless, again, you want the headache of a project, it's going to be best for you to just be single and thug it out before you sit up in here and put up with a bunch of stuff that you got to keep putting up with, because it ain't going to get no better. It's not going to turn around and then all of a sudden be good to go. Like, people are going to be who they are. So make up that your mind that you're not taking on any projects this year, whether no matter who they are, because a project person is never going to be it. And again, I'm going to say this because people love to hear what they want to hear. I'm not talking about somebody from the projects. I'm talking about a project person by which you have to do all the work, by which you're going to have to do all the things. That is what I mean. So no Build-A-Bears in 2026, okay? No Build-A-Bears in 2026. Save yourself the headache. And also know that you can see the qualities that you might have found. Maybe it is the physical in somebody, or you found that they're nice, or they found that they're this and that. And that means that you're going to find that, or you're looking for those types of qualities in other people, and you can find them in a person that's all the way whole together. And also don't judge somebody in that situation, because where you may look like you're clean and whole and all put together, there could be holes in your situation where you need to fix and get together so that you may not come out in the same way that they're coming out, where they don't have a place to lay their head, but there are other manifestations that could be happening. So don't judge a person that may be homosexual. Don't do it, but also don't give your body to them, because you don't know where they've been and they don't know what they're willing to do to get where they have to get. Also, again, be a friend if that's what you choose to be, but don't take them on, because I promise you it's not worth it. It's not worth the headache. But that story had me tickled because the folks have been making these videos, have been clowning Mr. Man. And I'm just telling you right now, it's not worth it. It's not even worth it. I get it. There's some women that's like, well, I ain't seen none in a big long time. And listen, I feel you. But I would rather for you to go get you some batteries than for you to deal with a homosexual, because they will wreak havoc on your life. I have seen that type mess over some of the greatest of women. So I'm telling you right now, or even the men, is it work both ways. Take care of you and wish them well on their journey, but don't take them on. Don't build a bear this year. Don't you build a bear. The last story real quick that I'm going to recap is the pastor who was married and then started seeing other people. It sounds like he never really stopped seeing other people. And then his wife is now currently pregnant. He wooed her. He took her this. He did that. He did this. And now he's taking a quote unquote sabbatical. Here's the part that I want to bring up. The sad part of the situation is that regardless of what the wife may have not done, did, or whatever, it's not her fault. It's a choice that he made. But men will be forgiven. He will be back as being a pastor, and this will act as if it never happened for him. And for her, she bears the brunt of what he did. She's being drugged on social media, and most people aren't necessarily dragging her for what he did. Thank God, because some people are having some sense. But the issue will be that some people will cause this to be a bigger issue for her and less for him, even though again, he was the one who did the wrong. And I personally hate that. I think at the end of the day that pastor should actually not even leave an absence. I think he needs to walk away, period. Only because this is not a one-off. It seems like this is a pattern that he has. And I'm tired of men who, again, everybody says it's not always men, but it's not always the men. But in this situation, it is the man this time, that you're able to continue to, first of all, sleeping with women while you're not even married. The wife already said what they were doing. And I find this to be crazy, that you're supposed to be doing whatever you're doing. But this is why I do not put my trust in man, because that's what the Bible also says. But I do know that time and time again, men and pastors are always able to get a slide. I've talked about this, not as much, but when I was growing up, my old pastor, he's already passed away, but prior to his passing, he was in the middle of a divorce. And prior to his divorce, he was already messing with a woman in the church whom he did marry. He ended up marrying her. And 95% of the people were already against the marriage. And I think the bigger picture is where everybody was upset because of the looks of it. I physically lived with the woman that he was messing with. And I would see him at that house, and they would be doing whatever it is that they're doing at that house. So when other people were getting mad because of the simple fact of them being together, they just didn't want them together. And some of them may have wanted him themselves. I took it from a perspective of seeing what I was seeing and how he was moving. And it wasn't the way that he was teaching everybody else to move. So for that alone, I didn't go to the wedding. I had no dealings with her, dealings with him. And actuality, I left the church right after the announcement. I knew the announcement was coming. Here's the thing that the tea that people don't realize in that particular situation was that they announced the engagement. They had already set the wedding date prior to the engagement. The engagement was just formality. She had already gotten everything together. They had everything down packed of what they were going to do, what they were going to wear. She already got her wedding dress. She had done all the work because this was something that was already pre-discussed. He got divorced, and I think maybe on a Friday, and then they got engaged on a Sunday. And when I tell you that wedding seemed like it was just put together, like they were just like did it in less than 6 months, it was because they had already planned everything. This was already pre-planned. And I have never publicly said this, but I'm going to publicly say that because I can 100% stand on business with it. But when I tell you that men and male pastors will be forgiven, they're always forgiven so super quick. But if a woman was to do it, I promise you that they wouldn't lose as much as they would lose. Women would lose more than men would. So that irritates my soul that this is even happening, but I'm not shocked by it by one bit. I'm not shocked. Nothing about the situation is shocking to me. And I just feel like it's just damaging. It's damaging to the fact that she had a child prior to the marriage. And so now they have this stepson who now has to move from their home that they share. It's a lot of moving parts. But what I will tell you is that this is why you can't put confidence in a man. You got to put your confidence in God for those who are Christian. And you got to also know that people, regardless of who they are, they're going to do what they're going to do. And it's sad times that we're in, but I'm not, nothing about this situation. When I saw it on TikTok, I said, yeah, been there, done that. I've seen that happen in real life. I've seen it happen in real life. And so all I'm going to say is that you cannot feel a way. You can feel a way, but don't take it to the point where you feel a way to where you're like, I'm never going back to church again. I'm never going to serve God again, because those are not God's people. Those are the people that called themselves. I 100% believe it. I believe they heard from something, but I don't know if it was God, but I do believe that some people will call themselves. And again, give it about a couple months. We'll see that pastor right back in that pulpit again, as if nothing happened, and they'll use it as a restoration and God restored and this and that. Meanwhile, the wife is fighting for her life, trying to get together. That's just what I think. So that is the podcast that I have for you this week. We're going to be on the Consistent Bop. Today is Friday. Happy Friday. It's the day after the new year. Remember, it's the new year, not New Year's. It is the new year. Okay. So let's just make sure that we're clear on that, so you can stop saying that in these holiday streets, because that's not it. With today being the 2nd, it is also International Stop Spam Day. Run up the flagpole if you see anyone salute. And World Introvert Day. It is my day. I am an actual introvert. I'm an introvert that unfortunately has to be an extrovert, but I am an introvert. And so as an introvert in my nature, this is the day where I feel like me and my books and my headphones, we're going to get together. We're going to be famously connected. We tied in, we locked in. And today is my day. So if you are an introvert just like myself, happy Introvert Day. Happy World Introvert Day for all the introverts like myself who would rather read a book than be in public spaces, who would rather be at a bookstore than to be talking to real humans. I'm doing better, getting better, because my content creation has forced my hand, but I am an introvert by nature and I have introvert tendencies. This is why I will do an Irish goodbye and you will be like, where did she go? And I'll be like, I'm out. Yeah. So happy Friday. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. Do all the things. Pace yourself. You do not need to complete every freaking goal today. Like, y'all doing too much. Relax. It's only day 2. You still got 63 more days to go. You're going to be all right. Take your time, but be consistent. Take your time and be as, quote unquote, as consistent as possible, but give yourself some grace. Day 2. All right. Happy New Year.
Thank you as always for joining me. And I know that even in the deepest or joyful conversations, that there's something we can learn and apply. Until next time, I hope that you are doing better. If not, we will be back to talk some more and handle it. Peace to you and yours. Stay grounded.